Welcome to Cooking with Cannabliss. If you're tired of dry, skimpy tamales, then watch on. I'm finally back to creating more recipe videos to add to the digital cookbook I'm making for my daughters, and I have a terrific method for ensuring that my tamales remain moist. I begin by shredding 3 rotisserie chickens from Costco. Can't beat the price, it's so easy. I'm thorough and carefully debone the meat while removing all skin and fat. You can shred the chicken by hand or with a fork, but I love an excuse to use my KitchenAid. So I pop it in there, lock it in place, bring it down, and turn it on low until it's all nicely shredded. Then set aside for later. So I thought I would use corn husks for the first time this time, and I soak them in boiling water. And then I set them aside to steep. Now to prepare an entire bag of matzah, I use 2 heaping handfuls of lard, which I put into my largest mixing bowl. I had just finished making salsa, so I left about 1.5 cups in the bowl to add flavor. To warm the lard, I work it with my hands until it's smooth, at which point I add a tablespoon of baking powder for the floof effect, and 3 teaspoons of table salt. Then I incorporate those ingredients into the lard until once again smooth. Then I toss in a handful of matzah and work that in as well before I begin to mix Knorr's chicken bouillon with boiling water and add the first 2 cups of mini. I pour it in and allow the lard to begin to melt, but it needed another 2 cups and to stir it before it was ready to add half a bag of the matzah. This part is all about elbow grease. This method helps for there not to be any rogue matzah left completely dry hiding at the bottom of your bowl. I stir until the liquid is all absorbed, and then I add the rest of the bag. I make a well for more broth, to which I add 4 cups more, and then fold it all in, and then add the rest of my boiled water. In all, this step was another 4 cups. The secret to matzah is really just hydrating it gradually. And stirring, of course. I find most matzah not just dry, but plain. So don't be shy with the bouillon. Here I sprinkle it in because the water was only semi-hot at this point, and I didn't want it to clump. And now it's just stirring until my arm was absolutely aching. And then I added another 2 cups and 1 final stir. And just like with drywall mud, leave it for a little while, then come back and see if it needs any more moisture. The end result should be like smooth, thick potatoes. And with that done, I move on to seasoning the shredded chicken. To the meat, I'll add 2 cups of better than bouillon chicken broth to hydrate. And it does soak it all in. Then I season generously with salt, pepper, onion powder, and granulated garlic. I also add a small glug of my homemade salsa. There were children eating these. I'm going to be making a video on my salsa. And then I add an entire jar of diced green chilies and fold them in. They're my favorite thing. I make sure to incorporate everything very thoroughly before I roughly chop an entire bundle of cilantro into the meat and again, work it in. And now comes assembly. I would never use corn husks again, but if you do, place the ridged side up with the skinny end away from you. Then spread the matzah on. I use a dough scraper. Apply about halfway down and smear to the end closest to you. You fold one side over and the other side on top of that, close up the butt end and put it in a container. You can tie them, but no necesito. But screw the corn husks. I've always made mine with foil sheets. It works, trust me. I place the shiny side down, scoop the same amount of masa, spread it evenly in the middle, and then I add the meat, and I'm generous. I fold it over in half so the matzah sticks to itself, then give a little pressure for shaping, and then tightly seal up all of the edges. They cook perfectly, retain their moisture after they're steamed, and are wonderful leftover. They are just genuinely the best kept secret for amazing tamales, and I'm not gatekeeping it anymore. I came up with this method because I am always looking for ways to streamline and improve my recipes. And this method is so perfect. Consistent. Consistent as fuck, in fact. It's really not that complicated, just a little bit laborious. If you're gonna cook large batches, steam them about 45 minutes, small batches, 20. But no matter what, let them set up for 20 minutes before you try and open them. Remember, my tamales actually have moisture, and it needs to reabsorb back into the center of the tamale. And they are great. And tamales aren't even my favorite Mexican food item, but mine are seriously the best I've ever had. I've bought them in parking lots and stores from Abuelas, and I've never had one this good. So if you like this video, thank you for watching. Follow me for more.